I miss him.
Yeah, we ranked this one collectively really good.
I'm so sad about this rating.
Okay, I know you're
Amanda,
sad.
you tanked it.
You think that I tanked it.
Yes.
I
Oh,
still gave everything higher
you
than a
didn't
3.5.
The 3.5. I'm now vouching for your
Just
boy.
because,
I'm vouching for your boy.
I know,
for music.
right?
Wow.
I know, right? No, I wanted to. I think this show is just doing spectacular. For me, this episode, the story and the characters were higher above the other parts of the series, but that's not to say that the entire show isn't like an impressive work of art.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand your immersive universe a little bit. Both your scores. First off, this is a debate show. You can be open minded and change it. I hope to win you over this because I think you're both incorrect, and that giving it out of 5, Amanda gave it a 3.6, Christian you gave it a 3.7, myself I gave it a 4.4. Yes,
this is the immersive universe we're discussing.
It doesn't glean off of past Star Wars success and the tropiness of things we've come to like think are Star Wars, but it adds so many new elements to things. And talking about, like I think back a lot to like one example when we see the Senate, I think back a lot to when Padme says, well, this is how liberty dies, with the thunderous applause. And you see Mon Mothma come up, and this I believe is the first time it pans out, and you see her riding that little platform, and you see the empirical signia on that platform, really indicating like, wow, again, thinking of like a swastika, and they're really putting their brand everywhere. Really saying like, you're wherever you're from, you're the Empire. You're not really you anymore. And you see one by one people turning off the lights of their platforms. They've given up.
Yeah, they just don't care.
What's the point?
Yeah.
And it's this empty room. And again, I really hope we get Ian McDiarmid by the end here. The only true, like, again, Star Wars character I'd like to see in this show, because I do think for political reasons it would be really interesting to see him as the Emperor, but not in this way that he's the Sith Lord, but a political
political
emperor.
side.
Yeah, I would really like to see that in this show and be dynamic, and things like that it really adds to the Star Wars lore. Again, the ISB, everything we're seeing there, and all the complexity with that, and we're starting to see. I mean, this is going into the characters, but I also want to call out Dedra's mean face.
Oh, when she was interrogating Bix, that whole monologue was amazing.
It was like
if I was watching that, I would be
her throat.
Oh yeah, I was scared watching it. Just like the little micro movements in her face.
And she's got this little snarl thing down.
And I was like, Emmy, right there.
She's such a great actress. And like, my wife and I are watching this other show, Under the Banner of Heaven, on Hulu, and Andrew Garfield stars in it too, but she is in it as a Mormon wife.
Wow.
And
range.
Two very different, but she plays it so well. Like, she's a very,
very talented,
capable actress.
And I saw that the actor who plays Syril actually has a really nice beard in real life, and that is confusing to me. That he can have such a total difference of opinion. And you know what, Brody, you bring up a great point about the immersive universe, how it doesn't rely on, well, I've got a bad feeling about this, and the same old. And for that reason, I want you to change my score from a 3.6 to a 4.
Hey, yo. Oh! There we go.
Christian, now you.
No, I mean,
a good thing going.
No, that looks solid. That looks like a solid score.
You raise a lot of good points. I think I was leaning more towards, or attributing those things more towards the story and the characters. Whereas the immersive universe, I'm kind of also, like, we have all these other little subcategories of immersive universe. Lasting legacy will last long. But the lore, the Easter eggs, not saying that it doesn't have it. I think, again, I gave it a 3.7 out of 5, which is still good. But I think I lowered it just because it was more so we are kind of like idling the engine, ramping it up for the next one, because it was like, we're not concluding, we're not starting something new.
All right,
but
I'm not going to win this one.
Story and characters.
Yeah, they really popped off.
That really scored the highest.
But let's just talk about the music for a second. I don't
Let's talk about it.
I don't even remember his name, but basically
Nicholas Britell and B.
Stranger Things of Star Wars scores. All right, listen, all the synth. All I gotta say is, this man has done such a good job of taking your emotions to the next level. And you're right, he's not Ludwig Göransson. He's not coming up with this theme
Mhm.
that you come to really like, start associating with the show. It's true. But when it comes down to, there is some of that you wish it had in this show.
Mhm.
There is not that main theme played throughout that kind of like Top Gun has all these iconic movies. No, it doesn't have that, and I wish it did. But he is able to dig deep and really help provide the scenes that really spurn very human, raw emotions from your audience. That I don't know how many times we've ever seen that in Star Wars besides the original movies with the music that came out that really inspired audiences. You do have that with sometimes with the prequels, a Duel of the Fates and other stuff, but this is top-notch music. And so I would implore, if a 4 out of 5 is just an 80%, I would implore that you both raise your scores from 3.5 as a 70% overall, which again, I think we got to say this episode watching, I don't think there was music playing when that old man was killed.
Yeah.
Nothing short of killed, but still throughout, I don't see how you give this anything less than, in my mind, a B, 80% for this old Nikki. Killing the game.
I gave it a
it.
3.5, not because I don't enjoy it, because 3.5 for me is sort of like it's doing its job still really well. I loved when it opened up and we got like the synthy one. I was
yeah.
like, hell yeah, this
Yeah.
is my jam. And to your point, Nicholas Britell is great at using his music to enhance the moment and make you feel the pressure of it. And so sometimes it, like with the acting and everything else going on screen, the music kind of blends in.
Yeah, what he's doing, he's serving the written material. The written
Yeah.
material isn't really serving him,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
where I
Yeah,
think we've gotten
yes.
before with John Williams and LG. But I I'll bump it up to a 3.7 for you, Brody. You can do that for mine.
All right, 3.7
Because
for me.
Okay, you can do that to mine too.
but yeah, like especially the synth of the intro and whatnot. But yeah, throughout I was just thinking, other than the intro, nothing like super notable. I couldn't remember something specific with this episode other than it just aided in my
Yeah,
And
that was
so
my
well.
thoughts too, yeah.
suppression into this show.
And sometimes the
just
lack of
being immersed.
sound overall, which I don't know how much you can attribute to him, but again, the choice to not play
Yeah.
any
Yes.
music, because when you show the for example, what's her face when she's being interrogated,
Bix.
Bix, she's being interrogated, and you hear no noise whatsoever.
Yeah.
A lot of times, think about it, you hear the strings in those
Mhm.
situations,
Just like a
fast playing,
hum or
Yeah.
something, you know?
something playing. A choice to go with nothing.
Yeah. The amount
Let
of
the imagination
It's
run.
so,
restraint.
yeah, it's just so compressing and uncomfortable. Like you really feel alone and trapped in that room.
And it's kind of like Spielberg would always say, like the scarier things are what the audience can't see.
Yep.
But and
Mhm.
it was the same thing with music here. And I mean, this is just top notch. And that's why for me, I actually bumped up two things. I bumped up my characters from a 4.5 to a 5 because as we were talking, I realized there is not one single fault I can find in the characters for this episode. So I won't punish it by giving it anything less than a perfect score
Amazing.
because this episode from the characters was nothing short of perfection, and I will stand by that. I don't care what anybody says. That was
Nice.
it was amazing. And then the story, there were elements that I could connect a little bit more. But again, 4.8 out of 5 for me. That might have been the highest I've ever given any story.
Mhm.
Yeah, that might be.
I can't. The more I think about it, the more I'm just like, this is such a perfect show all around. There's little elements here and there that could be better, but overall, that takes our final score to a 60 or wow.
Wow, no, not a 60. No,
It's
our
a perfect
final
show.
score to 83.6%.
63.2. It's a perfect show. We are haters. No, 83.6.